Dane, 17 from Leeds, has been trials riding since the age of 6. He's currently 4th in the A-Class British Championships.
My name's Dane, I'm 17. I've been trial riding for about 10 years now.
He's a good rider. He's got the ability there, it's just believing in himself.
He's alright, yeah, he takes the mick a bit like, but he's a good rider if he puts his head to it, you know. But he has a good laugh, he's a good lad, yeah.
All I know is that he is a very good rider, very good technical ability, a lot of aggression he uses.
Dane is quite capable at riding the competitions, but he tends to ride for fun. If he could get serious for a moment, he would be very, very good.
Trials riding originated nearly 100 years ago when motorbikes were first invented. Trials riding requires the rider to control a responsive low-geared bike whilst having the dexterity to ride up and balance on the most difficult of terrains and obstacles. Britain has provided the trials biking world with many of the great riders. Dougie Lampkin, Jarvis and Sam Connor to name a few. But for those of you who have never seen trials before, what is it all about?
Well, trials riding is basically riding a trials motorcycle, which is a bit specialist, over rough terrain. And the idea is to keep going without having to put your feet down and to go from the beginning of the section to the end of the section, whether it's up, down, over the rocks, through water or whatever, and keep your feet on the pegs.
Well, it all evolved years ago by just guys that just wanted a little mess about on the moors and things like that and in roadsides, and they just met and had a little run out and messed about in ditches on bikes, and then eventually they decided that they would alter the bike to make it a bit more competitive gearing wise and suspension wise and things like that, and it's just evolved that way till now. We've got a specialised trials bike which really can't sit down on because it's that low, the suspension all built for the job, engines that are just absolutely terrific, really good looking machines, and obviously the kids like them as well.
Dougie Lampkin, World Trials Champion, started very much the same way as Dane. Dane belongs to a trials club that Dougie is still a member of.
I always remember years ago, I took him to a trial as a small lad with his brother Harry, and he was telling people how to ride a section then, and I remember him remarking at the time, said that lad will be world champion, so there we go. I must know something about the sport.
Dane, like Dougie, was also showing great potential at a young age, but it all started at the tender age of 6, whilst out with his family when he saw what he wanted to do.
We just went for a drive up in the Yorkshire Dales and saw these little bikes and thought it looked rather good, little boys on little bikes.
My dad used to ride road bikes, and then we saw trials on the TV once, and then went to see an event, and I just started wanting to do it, and then we got a bike, and I just got into it like that.
When I was 6, we bought him a TY80, taught him to ride it, the basics, entered him for his competitions at 7. Then when he got to 9, he bought him a bigger bike because he was then riding up as a C-class rider. Bought him a little gas, 80cc, and then progressed from there. He's gone through C-class and then into B-class and now into A-class.
The trials that Dane rides on a regular basis, we do normal club trials, we do what we call centre trials where all the clubs in the area all get together and ride. You normally get high-class riders there. We do national youth competitions where we travel up and down the country and he rides against all the youths in the country. He's also riding the British Championship where he's riding with riders like Dougie Lampkin, Jarvis.
There's normally like club trials which everybody competes in, and then occasionally there's a youth trial that's on, which is about 5 or 6 from a year, and then there's British trials Championship, which are competing now.
At this moment, Dane is lying 4th overall in the national youth competition.
It's the day before the last championship trial of the season, and Dane sneaks in a last-minute practice at a quarry near to where he lives. Back home, and Dane washes down the bike whilst his dad tells us how he thinks he'll do tomorrow.
He has a good chance of getting in the top 3. a very good chance. But again, the weather conditions, and he's up against some very good riders.
It's getting late, and with the bikes prepared and locked away, it's time to turn in for the night. Tomorrow is a big day for Dane and his dad. It's 8:30 in the morning and very cold, but luckily there's no sight of rain yet.
Bikes are filled with fuel, they're alright, they're ready to go. What we've got to do now is get them scrutineered, which basically they check the bikes, make sure that they're alright, there's nothing loose, nothing falling off, and then they get a ticket, they get the number, and then they're ready to ride. Competition starts at 11 o'clock.
Today is the last round of the championship and it's been held at Harborough Rocks, Brassington in Derbyshire. We'll see if Dane's bike makes it through scrutineering later on, as now it's time to explain the slightly complicated rules of trials bike riding. Listen up.
There are two sets of rules that we mainly run on here. The junior clubs mainly run on a no-stop rule, where you start the section in the begins cards. If you put your foot down once, that counts as 1 mark lost. If you put your foot down twice during the course of the section, that's 2 marks lost. You can then foot as many times as you like, as long as you keep the front wheel of the bike moving, and that's 3 marks, providing you keep the bike moving. If your bike stops moving in a forward direction, that's a 5, or if it rolls back, obviously, it's also a 5. In the FIM rules, which the good lads and the international and the national trials use, that's quite different. You can actually stop in that and it just counts as a 1, providing you keep your feet on the pegs. If you stop and put your foot down, it counts as another 1, so that makes 2 marks, and then it's 2 marks, 3 marks, and you can stop, but you can't move backwards. If you move backwards, it's a 5. A little bit more complicated for the nationals, and that's the rules we've been running on today, the national rules.
Overall scores determined by the person with the least marks.
Most trials there is not a time limit until you get to like the Nationals and the British Championship. Then there is a time, but it's not a time limit to get through the section. It's a time to start the trial and finish the trial.
If it's a draw, it goes by the person that's got the most cleans, and then the person that's got the most 1s and 2s and 3s, carries like that.
Back with Dane, the scrutineers have checked over the bike and it looks okay.
Bike's alright and that's just gotta go sign on now. And I've done. Back up to the van and have some grub.
Today Dane and the other riders will be doing 3 laps of a 15-section course. Each section is carefully walked through before the first rider is brave enough to attempt it.
We don't tend to look around the course before the competition. What we do is the lads will ride. They'll ride to the first section. They'll get off the bikes. They'll have a good walk around, look at it, see what needs to be done, and then they'll ride it.
What we're going to do now is go to the start line. Once he gets his start time, and then we'll go to the first section. He'll walk the first section. He'll have a good walk around it, see what needs to be done, then he'll ride it.